There's always a black sheep in the family. The one that doesn't amount to anything. The one that just couldn't keep the ball rolling. The one that just disappoints the family despite being a relatively okay person. The one that could have ended the whole bloodline due to past decisions made. Just like me, that would apply to Tekken Tag Tournament 2. You know, these videos can kind of be therapeutic. Anyway, Tekken Tag Tournament 2 will almost be the end of the Tekken franchise. I definitely think it was the end of the Tekken franchise as we've known it before. So why was this Tekken the potential end of a franchise that's been around longer than I've been on this earth?
着きましたよ、お客さん。
ここが会場か。
Tekken Tag Tournament 2 released September 14, 2011 in Japan for arcades. A year later in 2012, the game would get a release on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 based on the arcade update called Tekken Tag Tournament 2 Unlimited. It was also later ported to the Wii U with content exclusive to that version, including skins and items based on popular Nintendo properties such as Legend of Zelda and Mario. The game was well received critically from gaming outlets and general audiences, citing that the game was fun, full of exciting moment-to-moment gameplay, and character moments. They also said it built on what made the franchise great. Tekken Tag 2 was going to sell 1.5 million copies. Based on the way I'm describing it, it sounded like Tekken Tag 2 was successful by all metrics. Well, that wouldn't be the case. Selling 1.5 million copies would be great for almost any franchise. Guilty Gear didn't break its first million until Guilty Gear Strive, and the franchise has been around just as long as Tekken. So why is it bad for Tekken? Selling this many would make Tekken Tag Tournament one of the worst selling games in the entire franchise. In fact, it is the worst selling game in the franchise. It sold less than the first Tekken game at 2.8 million. If video games are like any other industries, it is, when a title does bad financially, the studio will face a penalty of some kind, whether it be a decrease in budget, layoffs, or worse, a studio closure. Fortunately, the Tekken team only dealt with a decrease in budget from what I've researched. They also had to fight to get Tekken 7 greenlit. But I'll say that for when I do Tekken 7. Subscribe and I'll get it here faster. But it goes to show you how one mess up could be the end of everything. Tekken Tag 2 was most likely seen as a failure due to the cost of development versus copies sold. But why was it the worst selling Tekken game anyway? Was it the content? With Tekken games, at least amongst the casual audience, content is king. And usually Tekken games, the ones I played, are packed with offline modes to keep people occupied by including ways to engage with the game beyond just versus fighting. This would be modes like Scenario Campaign in Tekken 6 or Devil Within in Tekken 5. There are also things such as character customization, which this game does have. I will say that Tekken Tag 2 is not that much different in that sense, except in one aspect. Tekken Tag Tournament 2 has arcade battle, ghost battle, versus mode, team battle, time attack, and survival. These are what I would consider standard modes for a Tekken game, but there were a couple of modes that were exclusive to this game. One of them was Fight Lab. Fight Lab kind of serves this game's tutorial and semi-story mode. You go through a series of trials as a robot called Combat, where you learn how to play the game and gather skills from fighters to equip to Combat. Now that I say that out loud, it's kind of a little weird to say. This mode is narrated by the one and only Violet, aka Lee Chao Lun. I'm sort of mixed on Fight Lab. While it does teach you the game, it is kind of a step down in terms of story compared to the game's predecessor, Tekken 6, or even Tekken 5. I didn't necessarily like Tekken 6 Scenario Campaign. I thought it was boring. However, I can say it definitely gave more value per dollar when it came to offline content. That being said, I do like the arcade endings are not locked behind an arbitrary wall like it was in Tekken 6. Also, you can tell that the Tekken team decided to focus on other aspects of the game like online mode. Online mode expanded a little compared to Tekken 6. They added lobbies for this mode called World Arena, along with the Tekken channel where you review your replays. Though you can't access every aspect of the online mode as the service called World Tekken Federation is no longer online, meaning replays are no longer available. It was actually shut down in 2013, less than a year after the game's launch, due to the high maintenance costs. There were other costly aspects of the game as well, such as the characters or the amount of characters. There are a lot of characters in Tekken Tag 2, like 59 characters. Some places say 61, but I don't see them. Either way, This is the biggest roster for a Tekken game ever. Not every character is unique in the sense of their own expansive moveset though. For instance, Sebastian has a similar moveset to Lily. Some of the characters that didn't have unique movesets were DLC, and they were free. Did you know that the DLC for Tekken Tag Tournament 2 leaked via the Xbox store, and Harden himself had to come out and reiterate that the characters were going to be free along with some other content, while other items that didn't affect gameplay such as music would be paid. This was around the time that fighting game developers were getting used to online content addition. Street Fighter Cross Tekken also had issues that were detrimental to the game's life as well. At least in Tekken Tag's 2 case, the content that people cared about, the characters, was free, something you would never see from the Tekken franchise again. Regardless of that, old Tekken characters would make their return with new utilities like Jin. With Jin, they added the ability to do back 3, forward left kick, or left knee, or whatever you want to call it, into Jinshin. And after recently going back to play Tekken 6, where Jin didn't have this canceled, it felt like there was something missing from the character. This would be the trend, as the Tekken team would do the same with system mechanics. They will also expand on the bound system they implemented in Tekken 6 by giving characters more ways to actually do bound attacks. Doing this allowed players to be more expressive in their combos compared to Tekken 6. Granted that most people will end up doing the same combos once someone finds something optimal to do, but it's always nice to have that option. And honestly, when it comes down to combat overall, I think Tekken Tag 2 is a more refined Tekken 6. But the one thing that makes them different beyond available content and some system mechanic similarities, it would be the tag system. The tag system is the defining feature of this game's combat. Tagging is a huge part of this game's combo system, even though each character is sufficient enough on their own. Teams consist of 2 characters that have their own health bars. Unlike other versus games, when one character loses their life, the round is over. However, there are ways to switch between active characters. With the expansion of the bound system, as I mentioned before, tag can be used in creative ways. When hitting an opponent with a bound attack, it allows you to temporarily tag in and control your second character to do a quick attack before returning control to the point character. What makes this unique from other tag games is that you can choose which attack you want to do, essentially giving you access to assists compared to team games like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or Dragon Ball FighterZ, where you're locked into one assist for each character the entire match. You could also active tag from certain moves in the game, allowing you to completely switch to that secondary character. You'll be able to tell which moves do this by looking at the character's move list. You can even tag after performing a throw, giving you a unique animation depending on which characters you have on your team. There's even this thing called a great combo, where if you do a certain sequence of buttons, you'll get a cool little sequence between 2 characters. For instance, Jin and Devil Jin have this after he goes into his Omen stance. It's small things like this that make the game fun to learn, while also giving you some semblance of creativity, like being able to artificially create a wall with Lars to do something that you would never be able to do mid-screen or even at the wall in this game, or any Tekken. A little side note, I'm so glad they added icons to the move list to indicate what moves bind, catch sidestepping, and for this game, show which moves you can active tag after. When I went back to play Tekken 6, I had to come back to this game to see what moves bound in that game. I guess it's one of the perks of Tekken being an iterative series. In the end, I think the tag system is one of the reasons why Tekken Tag Tournament 2 failed. Not because it's bad, I think it's great. Tekken Tag 2 has one of my favorite implemented tag systems in fighting games. I suspect this because casual and casual Tekken players couldn't wrap their heads around playing 2 Tekken characters at once. Tekken is known for its complexity and varied characters and fun movement, as well as pokes and defensive gameplay. Compared to when the first Tekken Tag Tournament came out, the characters in the system have gotten slightly more complex. This is more so the case if you haven't played Tekken before Tekken Tag Tournament 2. So systems like the bound system and the tag system, coupled with the fact that some characters have move lists with over 100 moves, granted they're all just like combo strings into each other, made the game a lot harder for that audience. Tag games themselves come with their own set of plays such as team synergy and different set play, block strings, all of that. So it's easy to see why people didn't necessarily pick up the game compared to Tekken 6, Tekken 5, or any of its predecessors. That and the advertising that they did. So while doing research for this video, I came across some of the advertising that they had for this game, and it kind of looks like this. Yeah, live action trailers. And to be honest with you, that is a choice. I guess that's where the other part of the budget went. Advertisement in general felt like it never reached everyone. Personally, I never knew this game existed until they gave it away for free in 2017, right before the launch of Tekken 7. So I didn't even get a chance to play online when it was active, nor did I get the chance to actually play the game long because Well, Tekken 7 was coming out, and at that point, I was into Tekken when this game came out. Because of Tekken 3, Tekken 5, and 6, I knew about and watched arcade footage of 2015 Tekken 7, but I didn't know this game existed. I feel like instead of spending a potential million or more on live action trailers, Bandai Namco, the publishers of Tekken, could have spent more time showing people how the system mechanics work and advertising to people who show interest in the games before through targeted ads on YouTube and things of the like. I think there would have been a natural peak in interest over time.
鉄拳タッグトーナメント1回戦も残すところあと4試合となりました。次のステージに駒を進めるのは果たしてどのタッグに。
お客さん、一体どちらまで。
わからんか。この他にいる投資の無関法じゃ。
So what made Tekken Tag Tournament 2 fail? Well, there are a few elements that contributed to its failure, but honestly, I think it just boils down to bad advertisement, a big budget with no return, and quote-unquote difficult gameplay. While I love tag games and I adore the tag system in this game, I can acknowledge that Tekken Tag 2 can get complex for someone who isn't deeply entrenched in the Tekken series, or people like me who forget how to play after taking long breaks from playing Tekken. Even though they added gameplay additions such as the solo mode where you choose one character and play what I would call the traditional Tekken experience, the solo mode is what I would say is the true Tekken 6 when it comes to the gameplay. Not many people were going to play that way, as that wouldn't be a competitive way to play the game, nor was it necessarily the way they advertised the game, going back to the bad advertising. They went even further to add modes such as pair play, a mode in which you and someone else can take control of the individual characters on a team and play them together. But in the end, it wasn't enough, and it almost ended the Tekken franchise as stated as such by Michael Murray and Kazuhiro Hara themselves, despite being one of the best in the franchise gameplay wise. And you can see the failure of this game influenced the future of the Tekken franchise, especially in a title like Tekken 7 and Tekken 8. And with that, if there's any way you can play Tekken Tag Tournament 2, I suggest you do. It's genuinely a fun game and a fun Tekken experience, and I think it's some of the best in the franchise when it comes to Tekken gameplay.